1800 hours Pakistan Standard Time. Assalamu alaikum. This is Radio Pakistan. The news read by Daman Zaman. The headlines. The Prime Minister has advised the people to wear face masks to avert the second wave of COVID-19 pandemic in the winters. The Information Minister says exports and remittances are on an upward trajectory due to conducive economic policies of the government. The Speaker National Assembly says new visa policy for Afghanistan will facilitate the visiting of Afghan brethren, students and businessmen. Two hardcore terrorists were killed in an intelligence-based operation of the security forces in Mir Ali area of North Waziristan district today. In Palestine, the Hamas group has called for accelerating inter-Palestinian talks to reach a national roadmap for achieving reconciliation. In Afghanistan, 11 militants were killed when fighter planes struck a Taliban gathering in Andar district of Ghazni province. And now the news in detail. Prime Minister Imran Khan has advised the people to wear face masks to avert the feared second wave of COVID-19 pandemic in the winter season. On Twitter, the Prime Minister said, as compared to some other states, Allah the Almighty has been kind to Pakistan by sparing it from the worst effects of the pandemic. He said all offices and educational institutions must ensure that masks are worn. The Minister for Information and Broadcasting, Senator Shibli Faraz, says the Pakistan Muslim League Nawaz leadership is misleading the general public by pursuing a narrative which has nothing to do with reality. Talking to media in Islamabad this afternoon, he said they signed expensive energy agreements with foreign companies, resulting in costly price of electricity and gas. Shibli Faraz said we inherited the current account deficit of $20 billion and a debt of 30 trillion rupees, and 2.9 trillion rupees were reserved in the budget to just pay interest of the loans taken by the previous regimes. The minister said now, due to strenuous efforts of Prime Minister Imran Khan, the foreign exchange reserves have reached $19 billion mark and the current account deficit reduced from $20 billion to a positive territory of $80 million. He said exports and remittances are on an upward trajectory and our foreign exchange reserves are now in a comfortable zone. He said we have collected around 1 trillion rupees tax during this quarter, which is above the target. Turning to the opposition's diatribes against the National Accountability Bureau, Shibli Faraz said these rejected politicians are running a campaign to malign the country's institutions, especially the armed forces and the judiciary. The Speaker National Assembly Asad Kassar has said the new visa policy for Afghanistan is liberal in its scope and application. In a statement today, he said various aspects of the visa like duration of stay, validity of visa and number of entries in Pakistan have been substantially liberalized. He said it would specially facilitate the visiting of Afghan brethren, students, businessmen, investors and medical patients. The Speaker said Pakistani missions in Afghanistan would now also be able to grant visit visa for 1 year with multiple entries and business visa for up to 5 years, which would be extendable within Pakistan. Two hardcore terrorists were killed and another apprehended during an intelligence-based operation of the security forces in Mir Ali area of North Waziristan district today. The Minister for Maritime Affairs, Ali Haidarzade, has said for the first time the government would appoint a permanent representative at the International Maritime Organization to safeguard the shipping interests. In a statement, he said Pakistan would also be contesting to secure a seat in Category C in the upcoming International Maritime Organization elections next year. The minister said applications have been invited from interested candidates for the post to represent the Ministry of Maritime, who will be based in London, United Kingdom. The Special Assistant to the Prime Minister on Climate Change, Malik Amin Aslam, has said Pakistan would support the global leaders' pledge at the United Nations Maiden Summit for Biodiversity 2020. In a press release today, he said to restore the balance with nature, governments and the European Union have rolled out a 10-point pledge to counteract the damage to ecosystems that underpin human health and well being. The President, Dr. Arif Alvi, will be visiting Kuwait tomorrow to offer condolences over the sad demise of Kuwaiti Emir Sheikh Sabah Al Ahmad Al Jabr Al Sabah. The President will meet the new Emir of Kuwait, Sheikh Nawaf Al Ahmad Al Jabr Al Sabah, and convey profound sympathies and condolences of the leadership, the government, and people of Pakistan. Pakistan and Kuwait are bound by a close fraternal relationship. The late Amir was a sincere and trusted friend of Pakistan, and under his leadership, bilateral cooperation acquired a new level. His efforts in bilateral context and for regional peace and stability will always be remembered. This is Radio Pakistan. The Azad Jammu and Kashmir government has decided to impose lockdown again to prevent the second wave of coronavirus in the region. The decision was taken at a meeting with the Prime Minister Raja Farooq Haider Khan in the chair in Muzaffarabad today. He directed the concerned departments to devise a plan within 2 days. It was also decided to make wearing face masks compulsory in offices and markets, and a fine will be charged in case of non-compliance. The Azad Jammu Kashmir Prime Minister also directed to ensure standard operating procedures at entry points in transport and educational institutions. In the Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir, the All Parties Hurriyat conference says plight of hundreds of Kashmiris political prisoners languishing in different Indian jails is not different from victims of the Nazi concentration camps under Adolf Hitler. In a statement in Srinagar, the All Parties Hurriyat conference spokesman said Kashmiris are implicated in fabricated cases, arrested, and then subjected to third-degree torture in custody. He said exhumation of 3 laborers from Rajouri killed in a fake encounter in Shupaiya should serve as an eye-opener for the world community, a grim reminder of the Indian war crimes against the Kashmiri people. Meanwhile, a large number of people participated in funeral prayers of victim laborers before they were laid to rest in their hometown in Rajouri. On the other hand, an analytical report released by the Kashmir Media Service today says despite every brutal tactic, the Modi-led fascist Indian government has bitterly failed to divide Kashmiris on communal and regional bases. Several Sarpanchs from Kupwara district have resigned from their positions in protest against anti-people policies of the authorities. The Indian troops launched a cordon and search operation in Naupura area of Baramulla district. The special cell of Delhi police arrested 4 Kashmiri youths in Delhi. In Palestine, the Hamas group has called for accelerating inter-Palestinian talks to reach a national roadmap for achieving reconciliation. In a statement, Hamas called for creating a favorable atmosphere to reach solutions to outstanding files as a step towards achieving unity. Azerbaijan says it will destroy military targets in Armenia from which the country is firing on Azeri cities. This was stated by an aide to the Azeri President Ilham Aliyev after a civilian had been killed by Armenian rocket fire in Azeri Ganya city. Meanwhile, Armenia has denied the attack. Turkey has once again expressed support for Azerbaijan's right to self-defense within its internationally recognized borders. In a statement, the Turkish Foreign Ministry condemned Armenia for targeting civilians in Azeri Ganya city, saying this is a new manifestation of unlawful attitude. The statement said Ankara supports Baku and has rejected calls made by other nations for an immediate ceasefire. In Afghanistan, 11 militants were killed after fighter planes struck a Taliban gathering in Andar district of Ghazni province. And finally, the weather. Mainly dry weather is likely to prevail over most parts of the country, while hot conditions are expected in the plain areas during the next 12 hours. And that is the end of this news bulletin. For more news and analyses, log on to our website, radio.gov.pk, and you can also watch the live video streaming of our bulletins on the link facebook.com/Radio Pakistan News Official.